Hello and welcome back to another week in new genre books. My name is Amelia, and from Locus magazine I'm going to tell you all about the new science fiction, fantasy, and horror books being published the week of June 11th, 2024. We're coming up on the summer solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere, and I learned a new phrase from a book. Of course I got it from a book. We have turned the year. We have turned the year. I got that from the book Wintering by Catherine May, and she got it from some druids. I hope your summer solstice is excellent, and well done for turning the year. Before we get at it, like this video for me please. It makes a difference to us if you do, and subscribe if you haven't, and if you have, feel good about yourself for supporting a small literary nonprofit. These books want to find you, and we're trying to connect them to you. They got a lot to tell you. This week's books include a dead rock star trying to recontact the living, a magic conch shell, intergalactic Indiana Jones-style treasure hunts, and a turn-of-the-century golem. Writers include Tim Pratt, Kristin Cashore, and Paul Tremblay. First up, science fiction, we have 8 titles. From Emily Hamilton, we have debut novel To the Stars, Too Fondly, out from Harper Voyager US in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a queer science fiction space opera set in 2061. 4 young people break into a failed spaceship and accidentally trigger takeoff. From Yume Kitasei, we have The Stardust Grail, out from Flatiron in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a science fiction novel, an art thief dedicated to returning stolen artifacts to alien civilizations goes after a powerful object that can save an entire alien species, and she's not the only one looking for it. From Premee Mohamed, we have We Speak Through the Mountain, out from ECW Press in trade paperback and ebook. This is a post-climate apocalypse science fiction novella, sequel to The Annual Migration of Clouds. 19-year-old Reed Graham battles the elements and her lifelong chronic illness to reach the utopia of House University. Life in one of the storied domes, the last remnants of pre-collapse society, isn't what she expected. From Tim Pratt, we have The Knife and the Serpent, out from Angry Robot in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a science fiction novel involving parallel worlds, the first in the Night Space series. 2 otherworldly women compete in a race for love and conquest, one disguised as a UC Berkeley grad student, the other the granddaughter of a deposed ruler of a parallel Earth. From Robin Sloan, we have Moonbound, out from MCD in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a post-apocalyptic science fiction novel set 11,000 years after humanity lost a war to genetically engineered dragons developed for space exploration. The boy Ariel is tasked by the wizard Mallory with pulling Excalibur from its stone. He comes back with the wrong sword. From Jodi Taylor, we have Killing Time, out from Headline in ebook and audio. This is a time travel science fiction novel, 5th in the Time Bullies series. 2 members of Team 236 are trapped on a train, lost in time, hurtling through the night. Lieutenant Grint and his team must find a way to catch up. From Zach Topping, we have Rogue Sequence, out from Tor in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a science fiction thriller in which independent companies produce genetically modified super soldiers in the late 21st century. Andrew Raid, a dutiful super soldier, is offered freedom from captivity if he will help track down a former teammate. From Dwayne Worrell, we have Alliance, out from 47 North in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a near-future military science fiction novel, the second in the Androne duology, about a remotely fought war against an unknown enemy. Harmony is allied with a cult of zealots who worship time itself, seeking to obliterate the power of the Quandam and prevent a war that has already ended. Next up, fantasy, we have 10 titles. From David Bowles and Guadalupe García McCall, we have Hearts of Fire and Snow, out from Bloomsbury, USA in hardcover and ebook. This is a young adult fantasy romance about 2 people linked by a magic conch, a woman in modern-day Mexico fleeing gang violence, and a man in 1521 Tenochtitlan under siege by Spanish invaders. From Kristin Cashore, we have There Is a Door in This Darkness, out from Dutton in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a young adult contemporary novel with fantasy elements. Wilhelmina, grieving an aunt and dealing with the COVID lockdowns, starts seeing otherworldly things around town and is relieved when her friend James sees them too. From A.G. Rodriguez, we have Stone, Feather, Fang, out from Deep Hearts in trade paperback and ebook. This is a young adult fantasy novel, the first in the Stone of the Andalins trilogy. The gods have left the world, and teen priestess Hilde Rios must conduct a ritual called the Telling that will reawaken the people's love of the gods and call them back. If it fails, the gods will never return. From Ellery Lloyd, we have the final act of Juliette Willoughby, out from Harper in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a mystery novel with a fantasy element. An art student researches a surrealist painter and her lost masterpiece, uncovers a mystery involving murder, an aristocratic family with a rumored curse, and a possible message hidden in the painting. From Beth Overmyer, we have Tempered Glass, out from Flame Tree Press UK in trade paperback and ebook. This is a fantasy novel second in the Blade and Bone series. Verve survived her transformation into the Fire Queen, but she can't control her magic. When tragedy strikes, she's forced to return to a land she never wanted to see again. From Nadi read Perez, we have debut novel The Afterlife of Caldera, out from Titan Books in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a contemporary fantasy novel. Former rock star Caldera is dead, and while her fellow ghosts party their afterlives away at an abandoned mansion they call the Haunt, Mal is determined to make contact with her sister. From Joe Riccioni, we have The Branded, out from Angry Robot UK in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a romantic fantasy novel, the first in the Branded season series. Orphaned twin sisters are part of the privileged unbranded, but kept as breeding stock. One rebels and discovers she has unexpected powers. From Alexandra Rowland, we have Running Close to the Wind, out from Tor.com in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a fantasy novel. A spy on the run with the world's most expensive secret heads for an isolated pirate republic to sell it. Hijinks follow. Hijinks would be a good name for a dog. Hijinks would definitely follow if that was the name that you gave him. Good boy, Hijinks. From Matthew Ward, we have The Fire Within Them, out from Orbit in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a fantasy novel second book in the Soul Fire saga. Searching for a cure for the omen rot that Kat came down with after channeling the Deadwinds, she goes on a journey that will uncover some big secrets. From Maggie Nye, we have debut novel The Curators, out from Curbstone in trade paperback. This is a dark fantasy novel set in 1910s Atlanta. After the lynching of a Jewish factory superintendent, 13-year-old Anna Wolf and her friends create a golem in the slain man's image. Before we get to horror, if you like it when I keep you company and tell you all the things, why not go look at our older videos? Help us get our watch hours up. Your eyes and ears create value for us. Is that where value comes from now? Attention? It used to be from the hours that it took to make a thing. My Marxists know this one. But I guess now value comes from how many people you can get to look at the thing. At least on YouTube, that seems to be the definition of value. Help us out. Next up, horror, we have 7 titles. From Gretchen Felker-Martin, we have Cuckoo, out from Nightfire in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a horror novel. In 1995, 7 queer kids are stuck in a conversion camp from hell. 16 years later, the fate of the world depends on the survivors of that summer camp. From Sherry Priest, we have Cinder Witch, out from Apex Book Company in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a Southern Gothic, cozy horror novella. A journalist and her college mentor go to a dying Tennessee town to investigate family secrets and a decades-old mysterious death. The deeper the women dig, the closer they come to exhuming the evil at the roots of the town. From Benjamin Rempel, we have Infect, out from Chicken House in ebook. This is a young adult zombie horror novel, first in the Feral Winter series. As their community unravels, estranged half-brothers Andrew and Xavier must uncover the terrifying truth about a virus ravaging their town if they are to survive one more night. From Glenn Rolfe, we have When the Night Falls, out from Flame Tree Press and trade paperback and ebook. This is a horror novel about 2 young people separated by a dark past. A new documentary about the beach night killer is bringing crowds and stirring things up. From Nicola Yoon, we have One of Our Kind, out from Knopf in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a psychological horror novel about a family that moves to an all-black utopian community near Los Angeles that's a little too insulated from racial injustice and has a wellness center hiding a horrifying secret. From Lilith St. Crow, we have The Fall of Winterstone, out from Orbit US in trade paperback, ebook, and audio. This is a fantasy novel about an elemental witch and her shield maiden, second in the Norse-inspired Black Land's Bane series. Solveig and her shield maiden have finally reached the fabled Elder Sanctuary of Waterstone, where there is a great weapon, one that only Solveig's kind may wield. From Paul Tremblay, we have Horror Movie, out from Morrow in hardcover, ebook, and audio. This is a psychological horror novel. The only surviving cast member of a cult horror movie with tragic secrets helps with a big-budget Hollywood remake 3 decades later. Finally, in our collection anthology category, we have 1 title. From Puloma Ghosh, we have Mouth, out from Astra House in trade paperback and ebook. This is a collection of 11 uncanny and surreal stories, a first collection. That wraps up this week. Thanks for spending some time with us. At Locus, we set out to tell you everything happening in the science fiction, fantasy, horror publishing space. Come to the Locus Awards. You can do it virtually. It's this coming weekend, June 19th through 22nd, so there's not a lot of time left. I'll put the information below in the thing. The Locus Awards is our big annual hurrah to celebrate the best of the best, in as much as it's ever possible to elevate one above the rest. We love these books and these authors, and the Locus Awards is a place to show that love. We are at Locus Mag or at Locus Magazine on most platforms. You can read more about the science fiction, fantasy, and horror field over at www.locusmag.com or show us some love by donating to our Patreon. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. Come back and see us again soon, and we'll be here next week with more new books.